Hello, how are we doing today? My name is Kelsey if you're new here, and if you're not new, thanks for being here. Welcome back. What is up? How are we feeling? Today I am going to do like a sit-down video, which I have not done in a very long time, so this feels a little bit foreign to me, but I'm gonna film an elopement story time. If you are new, me and my husband eloped this year in April, and I kind of just want to go through like everything about that. I am gonna film another video that's like an elopement details video that goes more into like the logistics and like where I got our rings and my dress and shoes and like accessories and stuff like that. So if you're interested in like the details, stay tuned. I will film that at some point, hopefully soon, just so you guys can have these like close together. But today I just want to go over like, I want to tell you guys about the elopement. I want to tell you how it went. I want to tell you what we did, how we like got to this point, how we're feeling now. So it is almost August. It is probably August when you guys are seeing this. So it's been a little while. It's been a few months, 4-ish months. So we're adjusting. We actually bought our house before we eloped. So nothing really changed like in our day-to-day after we got back from our trip, just because we already had our house, we have 3 dogs, everything was kind of day-to-day the same. But with all that being said, without further ado, let's get into our elopement story. So you may be wondering, okay, so you're filming a sit-down video, you like did your hair, you look nice, and you're wearing a t-shirt. Why are you wearing a t-shirt, Kelsey? Well, because we eloped in Big Sur, California, and this shirt is from there, obviously. Let me like back it up a little bit. Me and my husband have been together for, this year is 8 years. And our anniversary is October 20th. We love the fall, we love everything about it, and we like very early on knew that we were gonna get married, but we didn't want to like do it early. I don't know, we like met in college, so we dated all throughout college. We dated obviously after college. I'm 26, he's almost 26 now, so we've been dating for quite a while. Again, really early on we knew we wanted to get married, but I was pretty confident that I didn't want to do like a traditional wedding. I'm not a very traditional person. I like to do things my own way. Don't get me wrong, I love a trend, but when it comes down to it, I really do like to do things by the seat of my pants and my seat of my pants. You know what I mean? So I knew that we probably weren't going to go the traditional route from the get-go. So if we go back to like when we got engaged October of 2023. So we actually got engaged on our 6-year anniversary, which I thought was really cute. We got engaged in Nashville, which is like our favorite place. We've been twice now and we just really like it, and it was very special. It was just the 2 of us. I knew about it. I picked out my ring, so it wasn't like this big, huge surprise, but he did plan the proposal, and so he was in charge of that. And then we just had a fun like trip afterwards, and I really liked the way we did that. I'm not a big fan of surprises, so I'm really glad that it wasn't like this big, huge thing. And we also both knew that we didn't want like other people there. We just wanted it to be the 2 of us. It was down by like a riverbed, and we did a little hike to get there, which we also like doing. So I thought it was just perfect for us. And then we got to celebrate it, just the 2 of us, for the rest of the weekend, or the long week, whatever. And then we also established that we were not really in any hurry to get married after that, because at that point we were actually about to move into our apartment together. So we weren't living together at the time, but we spent all of our time together. So there's that. But we were about to move in. We were like, okay, well, like, what's the budget? What are we doing? What's the plan? And the vibe was gonna kind of be either we did it right away or we waited a little while and did something like bigger. So we decided to wait a while and do something a little bit bigger, and there was some conversations between like what the vibe was, and we tell each other everything, so I had been very honest that I did not want something traditional. I didn't want to go the big reception. I didn't want to do like the whole ceremony thing, and he knew that. He was kind of pretty much on board from the get-go with that also, but as time went on, he like really agreed with me. It just took him a little bit more time to like come to the realization that he also didn't want something traditional, just because if you've like thought that you wanted something for so long and then you don't anymore, it's like it takes a second to adjust. But he like came to the conclusion, he was like, no, I totally agree, I don't want that either. I don't want to do a big thing. I don't want to spend a bunch of money. And so then we decided that we wanted to elope. And so that's how the idea came about. We were like, okay, we don't want to spend a bunch of money, we don't want to do something traditional. Where does that leave us? We first decided to do an elopement and then like a reception later with our friends and family. We eventually decided against that, but we'll get there. We wanted to pick like a date, and I was like, well, I really like our anniversary. Like, I feel a strong connection to October. I love the month. I love the day of our anniversary. And I was like, okay, well, why can't we, like, can we do it on our anniversary? Long story short, that timing didn't work out with what we ended up wanting to do. So our wedding date is 4/20/25, and not for the reasons that you think. Get your mind out of the gutter, okay? We picked that day because, one, it is funny, and two, it is exactly 6 months after our anniversary. So it's October, April, you get the gist. And I thought that was special because you have something like every 6 months to celebrate instead of waiting like a full year to celebrate. And I like how it's like even numbers and it looks cute, and so that's why we picked 4/20 after we decided the day. So that was like the first decision that we made after deciding that we wanted to elope, is when do we want to do it? And I think at this point we were like in conversations. It was like the beginning of 2024. So I was like, okay, well, this April is like in 30 seconds, so we can't do it now. So then we decided on this year. Okay, this is not going to be a long story short. This is going to be a long story long. So buckle up, get some popcorn. I am a very long-winded person. So we decided that we wanted to do it in April of this year. And that was like, check, check, perfect, beautiful. We kind of decided that we wanted to do like a bigger elopement, meaning we wanted to go somewhere on like a trip. We wanted to make it like a honeymoon elopement combo situation, because with the budget that we had, we knew that we weren't going to be able to do both. So it was either going to be we elope somewhere close and then go on a honeymoon, or we kind of go somewhere really cool, elope somewhere really cool, and have that be your honeymoon also. And so that's kind of what we ended up deciding. And I was really, really particular about like the aesthetic of the day. And I know that sounds so stupid, but I really wanted really good photos. I wanted the landscape to be the like focal point of the elopement. Obviously, I know that like we're getting married, it's not loud, blah, 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 whatever. But I knew I wanted to go somewhere beautiful, breathtaking. I wanted there to be like amazing photos of just the landscape. I wanted it to be like burned into our memory about how beautiful it was. And so that led us to the West. If you don't know us, we live in Georgia, and don't get me wrong, don't twist my words here. There are very beautiful places on the East Coast that we could have gone, but not really the vibe that I was going for. Like a lot of the national parks that are just like breathtaking are on the West side. So I started doing research on national parks and like the temperature, what the forecast is in April, and we don't like, well, he does, but I don't, and I didn't really want to be in snow all day. I also don't really like the cold. So that crossed off a lot of the options that we had because I did not want it to snow. I didn't even want there to be a chance of snow. I didn't want that. So we landed on Big Sur, California, and again, I really was focused on the landscape. I wanted it to be beautiful. I wanted it to be like the focal point of the photos. I wanted I wanted that, like, oh my gosh, from the photos. And something that we also talked about, we didn't really want to commit to like a vibe of our photos. So for example, if you like get married at the beach, those are like, your photos are beach photos, you know. If you get married in the woods are, it's your whole vibe. And we didn't really want to commit to one single thing. We wanted options. We change our minds. We like different things every day. So we were like, okay, well, does Big Sur have all of those things? And it did. So that's why we landed on Big Sur, because you had the redwoods, which we didn't end up going to because we ran out of time, but regardless, they were an option. We had the beach, which we took photos on. We had cliffs, we had like greenery. There was just so many options for photos, so it was like meant to be. And so then we decided Big Sur, California, April 20th, 2025, and then I started planning. And I basically had everything planned in like 6 months, but I'll get into that in like the details video, because that's what that video is for. And at this point, it was probably like closer to our anniversary in 2024. So it was like October-ish. That's actually when we bought our house. So we decided to buy a house, get 2 more dogs, and get married all within like a 6-month frame. Not the best idea in hindsight, but we did that anyway. So up until after I finished planning, up until literally like March of this year, I wasn't even thinking about it because we had so much going on, which I think actually was good because knowing me, I needed to not build up to it and like make it this big, huge thing, because it would have just not gone super well if I did that. So I'm kind of glad that we were really busy and our minds were elsewhere until we left for our trip. And now I'll actually get into the story time of said elopement. We left here we flew out on a Friday and we came back on a Monday. It was initially supposed to be a longer trip and we were going to extend our time in San Francisco, but we ended up not being able to do that because of our house and the budget got adjusted, so we had to cut the trip short. But it ended up working out, so I'm not like super upset that we did that. It just gives us another opportunity to go back and visit some more later, because it was a pretty quick trip. Anyway, we left on Friday, like super early in the morning, and we flew into San Francisco, and then we kind of explored San Francisco for like half the day. And I didn't really have an itinerary for San Francisco, and I'm a big itinerary bitch, okay? We were just exploring. I had a few things we wanted to see. We saw the Golden Gate Bridge, we saw the Painted Ladies, we went to In-N-Out, which is like our favorite place ever now. I know there's like some strong opinions about In-N-Out, but we loved it and I could eat it every day. And then after that, we were also exhausted by this point because we left here at the literal crack of dawn. So we were ready to kind of get our stuff together and rest. But we stayed in Monterey, and that ended up being, I don't think it's normally this long, but it took us approximately 4 hours to get to Monterey from San Francisco, and that was not cool. But I mean, what else did we have to do? We saw, we like I think we stopped in like San Jose or something. But we just did like a little mini road trip to Monterey, and the options to stay out there, we were deciding between staying in Carmel or Monterey, but Monterey I picked that because it seemed like it was kind of in the middle of things that we wanted to do. So we drove to Monterey, we stayed in our hotel, we had like I don't know if it was like the bay or like the ocean. I think it was the ocean. Coastal view from our hotel room. There was like a amazing hotel bar that we went to, and this nice lady, we like went to the bar after we got back from like on the day of, and she like bought us drinks and celebrated, and it was just the hotel was really nice and we had a lovely time there. But so we got there, we got adjusted, and then the next day was Saturday. So not eloping until Sunday. We just basically explored Monterey. We explored Carmel by the sea. We went to like the little downtown. We went to, I don't know, we explored the beach also there. And we just like had drinks and hiked and ate cute food and like got souvenirs, and we just like did a tour of the town basically on Saturday. And we wanted to keep it pretty low key and chill, because if we got like super tired, or like if I got too hyped up on Mountain Dew, it would not be, Sunday would not be fun. So we wake up on Sunday. We aren't meeting our photographer until like 2 p.m. in Big Sur. And that was like good, because I really wanted to prioritize like a slow morning. I didn't want anything that was too like anxiety inducing, because I'm a very sensitive girl, and any simple little thing would send me over the edge. And like, this is kind of the way that I explain it to people that don't have like anxiety problems. It's almost like you put so much pressure on this one day that no matter how good it goes, it just like will not meet your expectations. And that's what I didn't want to happen. So I really wanted to like focus on relaxing, not being stressed, not being on a super tight timeline. And that's why I planned everything early, because I just wanted it to be a chill day. I know what we're doing is not chill. I know where we're going is not chill, but I wanted to be chill. And it was, for the most part. So we woke up and we actually got bagels. And they were delicious. I could not eat a ton of them because I was a little nervous. Not like to get married. It's just we were going out to like a place, there was no bathrooms. We didn't know where we were going. We hadn't been there before. We were going to be out there for like 6 hours. I wanted to make sure that I looked okay and like felt comfortable in my dress, and like my makeup looked okay and my hair was okay. So there's just a lot of moving pieces. But we went to get bagels together. We had bagels. We also had to go to Ace Hardware because we constructed my bouquet, which I will show you guys in the other video. We actually made it. So I flew with a bunch of fake flowers in my book bag on the plane, but it wouldn't fit if they were like together. So we had to construct the bouquet the morning of, and Zach actually ended up doing it because I started to freak out and I was like, I can't, it looks ugly, I can't handle it. So then he did it and it turned out beautiful and perfect, but we like had to like wrap the stems, and then we had these little charms with our dog's pictures on them that went on the like handle of the bouquet, and so we had to get those on. And then we tried to cut everything and like pre-assemble it before we left, just to make sure we had like all the right stuff. And so we like cut some of the stems beforehand, but when we put it together again, like day of, some stems needed to be cut, like they weren't even anymore. So we had to go buy wire cutters, which is why we had to go to Ace Hardware. But perfect timing. Ace Hardware was next to the bagel shop and we weren't even going to get breakfast, but then I was like, oh my god, that bagel place has really good reviews. So we went to Ace, got some wire cutters, and then we went to the bagel place. And we came back and I got ready. I put on some music. I vibed out. I did my hair. I did my makeup. I did do a trial hair and makeup before we left. But I had pretty much decided what I was going to do. I was confident about my makeup because I know makeup. I can do makeup. I'm confident in doing makeup, so I wasn't worried about that really. I was a little worried about my hair. I can curl my hair, but I am not a hairstylist by any means whatsoever, but it worked out. I did a pretty simple, like, down, sort of, and my front pieces were slicked back. So, and that also helped with, like, wind later on. So it worked out really well. I got ready. It was perfect. We had a little mishap while I was getting ready. I got water stuck in my ear, and then Zach had to go find eye drops for me. But that was the only mishap while we were getting ready. So that was perfect. The eye drop solved the problem for my ear situation. And then he got ready and he also put my bouquet together while I was finishing up. And we basically got ready just in time. And then we went to go pick up our vintage rental car. We have this photo actually. I've shown it on one of my vlogs, but it's of us in the car in Big Sur. We rented a 1950s Ford Fairlane. It was like black and white and it was a convertible. I'll like put a picture right here for you guys so you can see, but we rented that. I knew I wanted some like cool vintage black and white photos, and that just seemed like the best option. It was really beautiful. It was perfect. It was so cool to drive. It was very much so nerve-wracking, and we'll get to that in a second. But so we actually ended up driving that to Big Sur, and it was about like 25 minutes from the rental car place. So it wasn't too bad. We were too nervous to put the convertible like roof up, so I had to like I was like sitting like this while we were driving there, and then we met our photographer, and beforehand we discussed, me and the photographer discussed all of the photo locations that we wanted to go to and like the order of things. So we knew where we were going. You don't really have very good service out there, so we had to like decide that beforehand and establish a timeline and everything, just so we knew what we were doing without having to like communicate with each other. So we met her out there at our first location, and at the first location, I can't remember. I know that we went to Point Lobos. We went to, hold on, I don't remember. I'll like read them out to you. We went to China's Cove, Notley's Landing, Pfeiffer Beach, the Bigsby Bridge. But basically we had already established what kind of photos we would be taking at each place. So we basically just like went down the list, and we also did them in like order so we wouldn't be like going back and forth the whole time. But at the first place we actually exchanged our vows and did like the ring thing very first. So we kind of got that out of the way immediately, and we did all of the like paperwork and stuff back home, so this wasn't like technically our like legal ceremony, but that's what we are like referred to, like that's when we exchanged our vows and did everything. So like that's the day that we got married, but on paper technically not. But it was just like way too complicated because we were only there like over the weekend to do all the paperwork out there. So for our ceremony, it was just the two of us, and then our photographer and her husband came with her also. That was actually exactly what we wanted. We only wanted it to be the two of us. We are very private people, and especially with our relationship, like we're just different people when it's just the two of us, and we really wanted that to be the energy of the day. We didn't want to be uncomfortable. We didn't want to be nervous and scared. And that was like my fear of doing a ceremony. That's actually my worst nightmare. Okay, being in front of all of those people and like being vulnerable and up there with him, no, immediately no. So having it just be the two of us, and I'll put like a picture, one of the photos of the place that we exchanged our vows, because it was beautiful. It's one of my favorite places that we were. It was just exactly what we needed for the two of us. We could say whatever we wanted. We weren't weird about sharing our vows because we were just sharing them to each other, and like she couldn't even hear because it was outside and she was far away taking pictures. So like it was just the two of us, and it was everything that we wanted and more. And we had these cute little vow books that I'll put in the other video, and it was just perfect. And so we did the ceremony and did the ring exchange, and then we just took photos basically. So the remainder of like the time we were with the photographer was just taking photos and seeing the landscape and taking it all in, and I think that was perfect. So it was like 45 minutes I think of us exchanging our vows and doing the rings and like doing all of that stuff, and then the other 4 hours pretty much were just going to different places and taking pictures and hanging out. And we are mutuals with the photographer we use, and she took our engagement photos and she took my senior photos, and I've known her since high school, and I actually she moved into my apartment when I moved out of college, and it was like a whole, we already knew her. That was the first time technically that I met her husband, but we're like all the same age pretty much. So it was kind of just like we were hanging out, which is also something that we prioritize when picking a photographer, because we wanted to be comfortable. Like that was the main goal. We wanted to be comfortable. We wanted to hang out. We wanted to have a good day. We didn't want to be weird, awkward, stressed. And having her be our photographer, I'll put her stuff down below because she's phenomenal. Not only was she like, it was comfortable and we were just like vibing all day, but she also is like fantastic. So I'll put her stuff down below. So we were just like hanging out. We went to the different places. Driving the car, the vintage car, was a disaster, to be honest. That is actually the only thing. There were two things that went wrong during our like actual elopement day. The last photo location that we were trying to go to, I think it was China's Cove, I think. We did not actually end up being able to go because the park ranger man said that they didn't allow like photography and our car was too loud to go. And I was like, okay, well, we like weren't even, whatever. He was also really super rude about it. That was a whole thing, and that was like at the end of the day, so we had to kind of pivot right at the end and find somewhere else to take photos, which the photos ended up being cute and perfect anyway, so it was fine. However, he was rude and ruined the vibe slightly. And it was also kind of sad that we didn't get to go see that one place because I was excited to go there, but it's all right. We persevered anyway. And then the second thing that went wrong, I've been really open and honest about like my mental health struggles, but I suffer from panic attacks sometimes, and I hadn't had one in a long time. I'm like much better than I used to be, and so this was like very unexpected. Because it was a convertible and because Zach was nervous driving the car, you're basically on the side of a cliff while you're driving through Big Sur. It's literally like these huge mountains, and then it just like drops off into the ocean, and they're like so curvy. I had a panic attack because I am scared of heights, but I didn't. Normally in a car is fine, but because it was like the convertible and the turning radius was really bad, it was kind of difficult to maneuver, and Zach was really nervous, and he never gets nervous. I panicked, and I literally was like, we had to take a full like detour moment because I couldn't keep going where we were supposed to go. We had to turn around and go back down. So that was not fun. But I was able to like ride in our photographer's car that they had rented. That was not a convertible, and that made it a lot better. So I don't know, it was kind of like all of the variables mixed together that sent me over the edge, I guess. But we have this photo. Oh no, it's not that one. We have another picture that is actually one of our favorite photos from the day. It's of our car from like far away, and it looks like my head is laying on Zach's shoulder as he's driving, and it's like a beautiful photo. It looks like art, okay? I was actually having a panic attack in that picture because I was like holding. It was like really bad, guys. Okay, I'm not even exaggerating. Me and Zach talk about this all the time. We had to like pull over. I was like full hysteria, panic attack, but I was like trying to push through. And this is when the photo occurred, but I was like holding my hair because I was trying not to mess up my hair still. And I couldn't look anywhere. I had to like close my eyes, cover my face, and tuck my head like into him the whole time we were driving. Like I couldn't raise my head up, I couldn't look anywhere, but because I was like kind of like this, it looks like my head was on his shoulder. And so it's a funny story that we have, and it was not funny in the moment. Was not funny in the moment, but it was funny afterwards. And I was like, it wouldn't be my wedding without a panic attack, you know? So we got through it. Caroline was like, literally, don't stress, it's totally fine, we can go somewhere else, it's not a problem. And then I was able to ride with them, and so it ended up being fine. But I definitely needed to take a second for like to calm down because it was really bad. It was really bad. So that's kind of my one thing. If you've never been before and you're scared of heights, possibly, go like drive it. We are planning a trip back. We want to do like a big, huge camping trip in Big Sur because it's a huge camping place and there's like hikes everywhere. We're planning a trip back to do that, and I don't think it's going to be a problem if we were in a normal car that he's like used to driving. Do I think I could drive on it? No, probably not. But I would be fine if he was driving and we were in a normal car. So that's just my, maybe like go visit. I don't know. It was literally our first time. We did not go to the park before. We didn't like see it. I wanted to be just like taken aback by it when we got there, and that is, I was taken aback, let me tell ya. So that was fun. But after that, we like got turned away by the park ranger at the end of the day, and then we did the like car photos, the black and white car photos, and a champagne pop situation at the end, and that was the last thing that we did. We found like a little overlook thing, and we had a beautiful view. Like it was literally just the side of the road, but it was breathtaking. So we did our last photos there instead of the original plan. I'm trying to think of like other stuff that happened. Basically it was just like a 4-hour long photo shoot like I was saying, but that was cool. That was kind of what I wanted. I really wanted the photos. Like I was in it for the photos, and also marrying the love of my life. Okay. Okay. But we were essentially hiking to these photo locations because it's just like nature everywhere, and like cliffs and beaches and rocks and greenery and trees and forests. So we were literally hiking. Like we were in full drip, all right, and we were hiking. And it ended up being a lot hotter than we were expecting it to be, but it wasn't bad by any means whatsoever. But we were definitely sweating, okay? And we were like climbing up half of a mountain, and then we took like, I'll insert some more photos. We were like on the side of a cliff, and then we had to like hike down to the beach, and then we hiked back up from the beach, and it was just so fun because who like hikes like that on their wedding day? Like that's so odd, you know? But we had so much fun, and it was like so fun to explore and to see everything. And there was like multiple times where I just stood there and I was like, this is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I can say that that's what I did on my wedding day. Like I did exactly that on my wedding day. And Zach was the same, and we took so many pictures of just like on our phones because I was like, are you seeing this with your eyes? I can't express to you how beautiful it is. Our mountains over here mean absolutely nothing compared to those mountains over there, and it was just crazy to see them. And the water was so blue, and it was like so sunny, and it had actually been raining and cold all the other days that we were there, and the day after also, but this day the sun was out. There was this like not a cloud in the sky. The ocean was so blue, and it was perfect. Things went wrong. I was nervous. He didn't want to drive the car. Like it wasn't perfect, but it was perfect, if you get my drift. Like I wouldn't change it to this day, and he wouldn't change it either. He's not in this video, but he is not like a yapper like I am to the camera. So he was like, yeah, it's fine, you just filmed the video. But we pretty much agree on everything. It was so perfect. It was so great. We wouldn't change anything. We loved spending the day, just the two of us, plus the photographer. And it was just like magical. And I'm so happy we decided to do it like this. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would do everything exactly the same, with the exception of maybe the convertible vintage car. Other than that, everything, I loved it. And he loved it. And then the next day we got up. Well, basically let me rewind just a second. We got back to the hotel, and it was like pretty late, and we were like disgusting. We had been sweating. We were covered in dirt. My wedding dress is like covered in dirt. And we were like sticky because of the champagne that we popped. And it was just, We were absolutely disgusting. So we were like, we're going home, we're getting dinner, and we're going to bed because we're also exhausted from hiking around in full drip all day. And we got back and then we like changed. We literally didn't even have time to shower because the hotel bar was closing and there was like 2 restaurants that we could walk to that were open still because it was later than we had anticipated after we like returned the car and then came back. So we went to the hotel bar, we got espresso martinis because this man made the best espresso martinis I've ever had in my life. We met this lovely lady and she found out that we had just eloped. She like bought us drinks and we celebrated and we talked, and then we went to get Mexican food because that's our favorite food. And it was just fitting that we had Mexican on our wedding. And like the Mexican restaurant was also crazy because it overlooked the ocean and you could like see the waves like crashing on the rocks. It was dark, but you could still see. It was like we were sat like right by the window. It was just perfect. And then we ate Mexican and we passed out when we got back because we were so exhausted, and it felt so nice to be clean because we were literally disgusting. And then we woke up basically and like got food and then drove back to San Francisco and left. And that was our elopement honeymoon. That was the trip. That was what happened. We got back, and then our plan for telling people, because nobody knew, also I want to add, no one knew that we were doing this except the people who helped plan, which were, there were 3 people. I put 4, there was 3. Other than the 2 of us, there were only 3 people that knew we were doing this. We wanted to keep it that way. We wanted to share kind of like on our terms. People knew that we were eloping, but they didn't know when and they didn't know where. Only a few people knew that we were eloping, like a few more in addition to the 3. But I made these like really beautiful, in my opinion, announcements, and we sent those out to close friends and family. We didn't send them out to a bunch of people, but people that we wanted like to have something on paper. I spent a lot of time making them. I made the actual like announcements themselves. I ordered like special envelopes. I made the like cover vellum sheet cover things. I got like wax seals. I spent a lot of time on these, and so I wanted people to find out that way because that was like our intention, and we both really liked the way they turned out, and I'll show you them in my other video. And so we sent those out, and then once people got them, we posted on social media for everybody else to see. And we're not like, obviously I post videos on YouTube, but I'm not like an influencer or anything. So the people on social media that saw it was like the rest of our friends and family and stuff. So it worked out really well, and I simply can't recommend eloping enough. For us, like personally, me and him, there was nothing that we regretted and that we would do differently. But there are some things that if you like are planning a wedding, you do need to take into consideration when choosing to elope and determine if it's the right thing for you. If you think it is the right thing for you, I can't recommend it enough. There are some things just to keep in mind if you do plan to elope. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So just let me know down below. But again, I am gonna film the details video. So I'm gonna go into depth on like the hotel, the dress, announcements that I made, how I made them. I'll like give you guys links to stuff. I got like certain accessories that I'll show you. So if you're like interested in like the actual details of it all, I will share all of that in that video. But that's really the end of this. That's the end of the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will share some, go to my social media, actually on my Instagram. I have a bunch of pictures from the day that I've posted so far. So if you're interested to see like photos, please go and look at my Instagram. I've also posted a couple on TikTok, but it's just easier to share photos that way. So it's always linked below. So go to my Instagram, look at the photos. Our photographer, again, absolutely incredible, amazing. Please book her for everything you could ever need in your life. One last thing, I mentioned this in my vlog, but her husband had a cute idea. He had a vintage camcorder and he wanted to like record us and make a little cute video. And she was like, listen, I'm not a videographer. He is not a photographer at all even, but we thought it would be like a cute little memory to have if he could record some things. And I was like, oh, absolutely, that's perfect, yes please. So she did, or he actually put it together, but he filmed it while we were there and then he put it together and she sent it to me. So I'll put this like at the very end of the video and I might try to upload it on shorts too. I have to change the music so I don't get copyrighted, but there is a Zach Bryan song in the background how it was like intended to be listened to. But it's such a cute little memory to have and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this video. I love you guys so much. I love talking about this. So again, if you have any questions, please leave them down below and I will hopefully get that details video out to you guys shortly. That's all I have for you. I know this was a long one, but thank you for sticking with me to the end. I'll let the video speak for itself. All right, love you guys and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.